is Roger Stevens, and this is another edition of the Black Dimension. Welcome to the best show on social media. I'm here with my fellow habitual line steppers. Fellas, you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Kev, and the Black Dimension with me here today to speak on Dave Chappelle and his recent comedy special that was on Netflix, Sticks and Stones. So, looking forward to this discussion this day.
I want to talk to Samson. What's up, y'all? This is Donnie M. Bison. Uh, Here for the conversation for the with the location of my bedroom, sitting in the dark, chopping it up with y'all late as hell at night. But we're gonna talk about this sticks and stones. What's going on, fellas?
What's happening? What's happening? All right, let's get right into this one because when it comes to that comedy special, Dave definitely got right into it. All right, so first of all, let's give an overall of what we thought about the special. Cause me, I thought that boy was hella funny and hella fantastic. What what y'all say?
Uh, that special for me told me he didn't give a fuck and he was gonna tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth from her perspective, and that shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it really told me, it was something I was used to anyway growing up because that's how comedians did. They 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 were on the edge with everything that they said. Excuse me. I mean, it's like it didn't bother me any because that's how comedy is. Comedy doesn't spare anyone. So I thought this special was excellent.
Okay. Well, as y'all may know, out here in these YouTube streets, out here on these different social media platforms, your Instagrams, your Facebooks, and all that, there's been some people saying they didn't really like this particular show. Even though on Rotten Tomatoes, it was viewed very negative by most of the critics, but a 99% approval rating by the audience. So the general public, like ourselves, we all seem to like it. Very close to
Yeah,
almost
I mean,
100%.
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it's about what we think and not what the critics think. You can use the option of listening to the critics if you like, but if you do that, you're gonna miss out on a lot of good stuff. So that's how I carry it around. That's my approach to the way I judge things. I mean, I have my own mind.
Well, I'm gonna tap into just a little bit of the controversy here because there's a little bit of controversy about what's going on with Dave Chappelle and his special, and him offending people, and uh, you know what? Actually, this is my take on his special. I view it as very progressive, and the reason I'm gonna say it's very progressive is because he's making fun of people who live different lifestyles that I don't necessarily agree with, but I ain't got nothing against you doing you because hey, this is America, and we all free to live the way we want to live and be the way we want to be. And I think he was basically trying to get the message across to live and let live, which I think is not a bad message. As long as you're not hurting anybody, do what you do. Have fun the way you want to have fun. We all gonna be into different things, and we gonna have different interests. And I think he was basically kind of pushing that to the forefront. Now I know a lot of folks out there think Dave Chappelle did something negative, and there's people talking about should we support Dave Chappelle after this? But I didn't really see a reason to not support Dave Chappelle. I actually see this as a reason to give Dave Chappelle some support because he definitely coming at some stuff in some hilarious ways. And I know people think certain things are so tragic or so bad, but I didn't really view it as that way. Well, I mean, if you look at the how he even made fun of uh, school shootings, how it is really more of affecting white kids than black kids, and he took some interesting takes. I'll just say that he took some interesting takes. He didn't really make fun of people getting shot. I didn't really see a issue with that. So I view this as very progressive stand up. What you guys say?
Uh, well,
Man,
um, here's what I would say. It was like, and this is spoiler warning. He was talking about it. He was talking about his son having having a school shooting drill at his school, and he thought about how crazy it was. So he just went into kind of like into that. So he had a very realistic take on a joke that he had. But he was just, he was just everything he said basically in this special had a message, and I think the message just went a lot. It went over a lot of people's heads because they were looking at, oh my God, he's saying this and saying that, instead of the underlying message that went along with it.
What were you about to say, Donnie?
so I think anything Chappelle do at this point is him poking fun at society and the way society moves, right? So his conversation was something that really we all think he just happened to say it. I mean, let's be honest. He poked fun at everything. Nobody believed the what's the Michael Jackson thing? What's the documentary? Um, Neverland.
Finding Neverland, I think.
Yeah, Finding Neverland. He poked fun at that dude so fucking bad, and it nobody believes that motherfucker. We're at the point now. Nobody fucking believes that dude, and he poked fun at him, and then he threw in other little jokes that were really cringe worthy, but they were funny. He was like, if I was to get molested, I mean, you could do worse than Michael Jackson.
Which is one heck of a point.
You could do worse than Michael Jackson. What you do this with? I got my dick sucked by Michael Jackson. Uh, you could do a lot of jokes, but sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. The way he threw them jokes out there, they all hit. Every one of them hit. And he doesn't give a damn about canceling, getting censored, people boycotting him, because at the end of the day, he got a farm in Ohio. He got his millions from Netflix, and he gonna be all right. Whether they aired that shit or not, he got his check.
Well, and it doesn't look like Netflix is having any kind of problems airing that special because it's definitely getting streamed. That's for sure. But man, I thought the way he approached this was, I thought the man was just phenomenal. Real talk, because I mean, think about it. The show started, and within what 5 minutes of the show, he even went at the audience. You know what I'm saying? Like who does that? Who's smart enough and slick enough to do that in a way where you can go at your audience and your audience not be offended and just keep rolling along? Because when he was talking
Well,
about them canceling him, and just basically laughed it off.
But
Go ahead.
that's what I think. I think that's the ability and the power of I don't give a fuck. That's that. He's got fuck you money at this point, and they gonna keep chasing him down. Because what you gonna do to Dave Chappelle? What you really gonna do to Dave Chappelle? You gonna cancel him? Okay, cool. How often do you see Dave Chappelle before they come out and scream, "Hey, Dave, we need you back"? Dave, 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 Dave. He knows his position, so he's playing his position. He ain't got a single fuck to give y'all, and that makes him all the much more funny. And if we didn't, if you look at the comedians we have now, they're all afraid. They don't want to push it to a certain point because they're afraid the Me Too movement, the LGBTQ mafia is coming after them. So they all, tone down their jokes. Jay hit everybody in the head. Wow. Oh no, I'm taking everything.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna be calling them the alphabet people. Cause just cause it's so funny to me, but
yeah, but see, the thing is though, if you even breathe wrong about that community, they trying to come after you. And what Dave Bell was saying is that really not fair because everybody take their shots at everybody. It's like they take the shots at you. All of a sudden, you're all mad and offended about it. Come on. I think what Dave was doing though, for real, he was saying what every other comedian wants to say. You know, he was pretty much, and pretty much in turn, he was saying pretty much what everybody wants to say at this point.
Well, I'll say this. As a young lad growing up in the growing up in the hood, and I had to deal with jokes being cracked at lunchtime. Me and my friends, we got together at lunchtime, and I'm talking about playing the dozens. Oh, we played the dozens. It was a daily sport, So you couldn't come to the table unless you had some jokes. You ain't want to, because if you came without jokes, that didn't stop jokes from hitting you, because everybody was gonna get got. So it's days I done had my bad days where I couldn't come up with enough quick ones. You know what I'm saying? I got torched on a few days. Didn't happen more than once. Uh, I done torch some people on many days. So, I got to take my L's. And I do feel like if I got to take my L's, it's going to be a problem if ain't nobody else got to take an L. So, yeah, when it comes to the alphabet crew, they do got to learn to take some jokes. Real talk. I mean, I understand your feelings get hurt, but even if you gay, at some point in time you become a grown man or a grown woman. Just because you are interested in the same sex does not mean you should not be able to take a joke. Like, y'all do got to live, breathe, be easy a little bit. Because if we can't joke about you, then why are you sitting at comedy shows laughing when people talk about straight people? Like, that's not right. That's bullying, if you ask me. If you come to a comedy show and hear a lot of people talk about straight people and you laugh, then don't trip just because somebody starts talking about a same sex relationship. Don't you want to be part of society?
Well, you know who said it best? Michael Jackson called him the gay mafia. The gay mafia's coming after me. Uh, the way they cut that up, it was so damn tough because he called them the alphabet people and he put them all in a car. But did you notice who was driving that car?
It was the white man, wasn't it?
The white man.
With
He
the
even made a
G's.
cold ass recipe. He made a cold ass analogy. He was like, "Yeah, I can navigate these roads. My people built these roads."
Mhm.
That shit was so damn deep because a few years ago, white men was getting buried. They really were. White privilege, white male privilege. Oh, da, da, da. Now if you look at it, who's the new class coming out on top? Gay white men. They're minorities. You can't talk about them. They make sure you can't talk about them, and now they have all the power.
Well, yeah, yeah, they do got a lot of power because you know, I'll just say, because I never checked into it myself, but I've heard stats thrown out, and I've never heard of the gay population being more than about 3%, which I don't think is all that crazy, because I don't really run into gay people often. You know what I'm saying? I've seen them. I've run into them. You know what I'm saying? I got friend of a friend. Well, I got a couple friend of a friend that's gay. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I don't really run into them that much. But they are out there. But I don't think it's just that big of a percentage when it comes to society. So, uh, as a person, you know what I'm saying, listen to this comedy. I loved it because at the end of the day, man, I can't, if these folks in the alphabet crew is gonna be part of society, like, I'm not gonna act like I can't like Dave Special because he got on them a little bit. And then my thing is, everything every time somebody crack a joke about you or do something to you, it ain't cause you're gay. Cause now look at the Juicy Smollett thing he did. Now the juicy now the Juicy Smollett thing was the funniest thing about that special to me. But when you think about it, did he crack jokes on him because he was gay, or did he crack jokes on him because he did something completely stupid? And to me, it seems like he cracked on him because he did something completely stupid, plain and simple. Was his Jesse's Smollett or whatever, or well, Juicy. I'm gonna call him Juicy.
Juicy Smouye.
Yeah, I'm gonna call
Juicy
him.
Smouye.
His mama called him Juicy. I'm gonna call him Juicy. but But Juicy went out there and made some stupid claims. That was, in my opinion, very idiotic. I don't know why a guy his age would make the claims he made and expect other people to believe it. That made no sense to me. So I don't think he kind of really. I don't think Dave got on his case because he's gay. I think Dave got on him because he did something incredibly stupid in a very incredibly public situation. You know.
Yeah, I think
Well,
he
I
rode
think
that wave. He rode that wave because if you look at it, we have a whole SJW culture, right? And the SJW culture is anything that is seen as offensive or incorrect, you can get a whole bunch of brownie points in whatever you do as a celebrity. So you got this man who's allegedly walking out at 50,000 below zero, going to Subway. He gets beat up by two white men wearing a MAGA hat in a what did they do? They wrapped rope around his neck and tried to hang him and called him all kind of niggas and homosexual slurs and everything else. Man, listen, his career should have took a boost like a motherfucker. He he's so strong. He made it, and he spoke out against him. Oh, we've got to support Empire. Oh, and when that shit backfired, that motherfucker turned victim.
Got
hey, you
Absolutely.
know what though? You know what though? They also there was some outlets, some publications calling him a revolutionary for lying.
Oh, they
I
yeah, they
mean,
called him the new Tupac, didn't they?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like they go to such great lengths to protect people like Juicy, but you know when they bust it, when they caught,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Juicy name because he done lost a lot of respect. So screw your real
yeah, I mean he done lost,
name
yeah, yeah, he done lost his job too. They didn't kick him off Empire. I mean, people don't like being made a fool of. You know, when they back you and then you lie.
but I think that's progressive that he lost his job. Ooh, did y'all hear that statement? I think it's progressive that he lost his job. Why do I say that?
Explain it to you.
Because if a man was straight and pulls the same thing, wouldn't he lose his job? Think about that. The black man out here making
A
some wild
black
like that,
man.
and wouldn't he lose his job? You know what I'm saying? So I see them letting him go as being very progressive because a lot of times, uh, the alphabet crew is sort of a protected class. So at the end of the day, like you know, if y'all let him get away with something like that, other folks gonna say, "Hey, I want to be able to get away with something like that too." It only makes sense, you know. So I think it was very progressive that they fired Juicy, even though I hate to see a black man lose a job, but I also hate a black man to go out his way to look like an idiot too. You know.
But you know what though? But you know what though? That also speaks in the name of equality. Like you can be treated equally as bad if you do something stupid.
Yeah, yeah. Now, now in the name of equality, I probably want to see a white guy get fired for doing something just as stupid, just to make sure we equal. But
Yeah,
I
and speaking of that,
go ahead.
and speaking of that, he started one thing he did start joking about was the opioid epidemic, and he was saying like who that look a lot like black people during the crack epidemic.
Mhm.
Which those jokes were
Yeah,
hilarious. If you ask me, that was hilarious.
he said, and he said, well, you know what? I don't care either. Yeah, look at them. Just say no.
uh,
That simple.
That's all you gotta do.
yeah, you know what? I think
But you know what though?
no, all I was gonna say is that yeah, I think a lot of black people when it comes to that opioid epidemic, we are kind of being just as indifferent as a lot of white folks were being during the crack era. Because it's
Mm,
it's really not affecting us and our people. that much. So, and this is just my guess because I haven't really heard black people talking about the opioid epidemic in no kind of shape, way, or form. I just haven't came across it. So, you know, you know, I mean, I'm sure it's a black person out there that can't. I just ain't seen it regularly that people talking about it or anything like that. But the comparison and contrast, the way he set those jokes up, it was hilarious. I can't say that it was.
Was it was a sharp jab.
Right.
I mean, he talked about so much. It like it's mind blowing, really, because you have to dive back into it, and really sit down and think. He went over a lot of topics. He was talking about the chick who tried to burn him out on the surviving R. Kelly doc.
You talking about her name was Dream Hampton.
Yeah,
Talking
Dream
about
Hampton.
talking about- yeah, he was basically saying that she asked him to be on Surviving R. Kelly and he brushed it off. And then she had like I guess when the special came out, she was like, Dave Chappelle said that he didn't want to do it because he was too hot for TV. He said, man, I don't even say nothing like that. I think it's too hot for TV. He said he don't even talk like that. But he said the reason why he didn't do the R. Kelly special was because he said he didn't know him. He don't know anything about him. It's like he knows just about as much as the general public does about R. Kelly.
Right, right. So I think she was bogus trying to throw that man under the bus for that. Because I mean, it's a whole lot of people that don't know R. Kelly.
But it's also a part of that SJW culture. Everybody's trying to ride the wave, and you don't want to rock the boat. Hey, listen,
Yeah,
Dave was supporting R. Kelly. Whoa, 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 whoa. I like how he did it. I like how he did everything in that show. I mean, man, he covered everything.
yeah, but what purpose would he? What? Why would they have ever wanted him on the documentary in the first place? Because just because he did the piss on you bit on Chappelle show?
They covered a lot of people in that documentary that had no business being on the documentary. Um, it at a certain point, I felt like they just did that documentary with so many people just to say that they have a community that's uprising and show that they had all these names, but a lot of them people had no business being on the damn documentary.
Well, for me, I didn't watch the documentary because I'm from Chicago. I didn't really expect to hear nothing that I was gonna care about at this point that I hadn't already heard. So, wasn't no point to it to me. But but when it comes to Dave and the way he crafted his jokes, the way he was able to take that jab at R. Kelly, the way he was able to take the jab at the different people in the LGBT community, the way he took a jab at white folks who really didn't care much about black folks during the crack era. Like it was, the man took a jab in so many different directions, but the way he did it was just so smooth. And when you think about this comedy special and you compare it to other comedy specials, because there's been other great comedy specials. Like one of my favorites is Delirious by Eddie Murphy. Now Delirious, I think is a great comedy special because you can put Delirious on right now and it's still gonna be funny. And I honestly believe if you take Dave Sticks and Stones and watch this 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, it's still gonna be funny.
Mm.
No, to me, this is definitely like what I would call an instant classic. You know, what y'all say to
Oh
that?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely his way of if this was his goodbye, it was like the perfect goodbye. I'll put it like that. It was the grand finale because right now he could just go live his life, but I'm glad he did it in that way. I really am glad to have taken part in watching it on Netflix over and over again. Yeah, I mean it's gonna like I still got Delirious somewhere on DVD. Like I could go back and watch that and it still be funny. Like Eddie Murphy Raw, like I would even say Richard Pryor live on the Sunset Strip. You can still watch that and laugh. And that came out back in like the early 80s.
Hmm. And I think that's why this special is going to be so good. I think thi- this special can be compared. to those top notch specials. Because in my book, Dave hit 10 for 10 on this one. He definitely hit 10 for 10. And when you start thinking about uh, which is the funniest special, I think you got an actual contest on your hand. Now I'm not gonna just up and say Dave was the funniest because Dave just came out versus those others we've already heard. But if you really watch those one day, in the same day, right after each other, I think Dave would give some traction to those specials. And we know Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy was just the greats, plain and simple. You know,
I'm telling you something. It was, it was that style of comedy that made it comedy at the end of the day. Like I mean, I said, I remember when I was a kid and I snuck and watched HBO late at night. And I was watching these very comics. Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, and then the infamous Def Comedy Jam, which introduced a lot of these comedians that we know today. And guess who Def Comedy Jam introduced to me? Dave Chappelle.
that he did. That he
And,
did.
and- yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell you a joke off of that Def Comedy Jam that really like it was the first joke I told him. He said he had a nightmare, like he had this reoccurring nightmare that he was walking down a dark alley and he was being chased, and then the dude caught up with him and pulled a gun up on him and said the last thing he heard in the dream was like the man pulled a gun on him and said, "Suck my dick," and then he'll wake up. That was the first joke I heard Dave Chappelle ever tell.
Well, that's a nightmare if you ask me. and and I definitely want to wake up at that time. I don't think that's go no further. Yeah. So yeah.
Right, the first joke.
Uh, Now I'm just looking at a little bit in the I'm looking at the chat. It says Empire may have been canceled now. Did Juicy Smoulet cost everybody a job? Is that what's going on? Y'all heard anything about that? I hope I hope
No,
that
I've heard that. The last thing I've heard is that he was being written off the show.
They wrote Jesse off the show, and then they supposedly gave him the job back after the controversy, like in support or whatever. And then they
Juicy
kind of brushed
off the
him
show.
under the side, under the rug or whatever, right? But if you look at what they claim for closing that empire, it wasn't after a Juicy. It was the head. What's his name? The dude. Who's the head
Terrence
dude who
Howard.
created Empire?
So Lee Daniels.
Lee Daniels. They shut down Lee Daniels on Empire. And then apparently there's a conversation about Lee Daniels being in the hot seat and a few other people. But yeah, they shut down his project from them.
Oh well. I get. Well, you know what? I was fine with Juicy costing himself a job. I don't want to see Juicy costing everybody their job though. I don't want to go that far.
Yeah, nah, yeah. I think it's more of a Lee Daniels thing than anything. But you know what? I tried watching that show. I enjoy the dramatic thematic elements of it. But that show was all over the damn place. People was
It
Right.
lying,
was.
coming back. There was plot holes left uncovered. I just couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. Like that man with his leg blew off. They gave him a prosthetic. He ain't even had a limp or nothing. He was just rolling. I said, "Oh, this nigga."
Well,
Man, you know what though? You know who else was in that show?
Malik
A social
Yoba.
justice hero, Malik Yoba.
okay.
And you know what's
Yeah, they
funny? You know
didn't.
why he got fired from that show, right?
Uh, Go ahead, man.
He got fired from that
What?
show for outing Juicy Smollett.
What? Huh?
Juicy got him canned. Juicy out here messing up for everybody, huh?
He outed him. He said something to the effect of, it's not surprise. I mean, he is gay or something like that. Basically exposing that the man was gay before he came out as gay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Juicy. You gotta
By,
learn to
by the
respect
way,
people's right to privacy. I'm
apparently there was a rumor at one point in time that Juicy was making it juicy for Lee Daniels.
yeah. Well, I thought people coming out was supposed to be like a big deal, even though it's really not a big deal. So Juicy, if you're doing that type of stuff to people, relax. Don't be outing people. Let them come out when they're ready. It's not a big deal.
Nah, it was Malik who was out. Malik outed Juicy.
Okay, well, Malik, don't you be out there outing people, man. You're in Hollywood. You gotta learn to work with people. You're gonna cost yourself a lot of jobs out doing stuff like that, brother. So just relax a little bit, you know.
That nigga ain't been nowhere since New York Undercover.
Hey,
When the last time you seen Malik in anything?
hey, it might be because he was out the wrong people. That might be why we hadn't seen him. Yeah, he gonna mess around and be in another Dave Chappelle show. But you know what though? When it
Hey,
comes down to it, I don't think nobody about to cancel Dave. I think Dave then he done got some big chop off of this one, but he gonna make it come back when he want to and do whatever he want to do. Go ahead, kid. What was you about to say?
no, I was going about tell him about that joke that he was telling about Chappelle's show. About how he went to the Department of Standards. Well, he got called up to the Department of Standards and Practices, saying that he wrote a skit. He wrote a skit. It had the F word in it, and and he was asked the lady, pretty fair lady. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" She was saying, "Yeah, it's going good, but you can't you ever use the F word, on our network." And then he was like, "Okay, I'll write it out." But he was like, "But wait a minute. How come is it that I can say the word nigga with impunity, but I can't say the word, the F word?" She said, because you're not gay." Well, he said, "Well, I'm not a nigga either."
Which made all the sense in the world to me, and definitely was funny. Made
And you
all
know
the
what
sense in the world to
though?
me. What's that? Did we lose you? Yeah.
He
No, no,
got
no,
stuck.
no.
Oh,
I thought Donnie was about to say something, but no. What I was saying is that might have been the start of the downward spiral. That eventually ended Chappelle's show.
nah. I'm not gonna even give nobody that kind of credit. Dave Chappelle ended his show because Dave Chappelle didn't want to work there no more. They tried to do the show without him. It didn't work, come off the same way, and then the show ended because he didn't show up. Remember, he said on some show that he's technically just really, really late. So the show just didn't work without him. So can't nobody cancel Dave Chappelle but Dave Chappelle. That's just the way it is. The man is too funny. And for
Well,
those, oh, go ahead, brother, go ahead.
no, you know what though? They did eventually bring back the Chappelle show, but it was just called Key and Peele by then.
Well, yeah, Key and Peele was doing some stuff in that direction, but I can't say Key and Peele was anything close to Dave Chappelle. I can't say that. It was funny,
No, because
just different.
I put you like this though. Key and Peele had a lot of PC messages in their show.
They did, but the comedy was in two different lanes. If you ask me,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying Key and
Well,
Peele wasn't funny because I do like them. You know,
I put it like this though. Key and Peele, Key and Peele was sort of like they were hit or miss, but they were more miss than hit. When they hit though. Dave Chappelle was more hit than miss when he was doing the Chappelle show.
well, I'm just gonna say it like this because I didn't even view it that way. I like a lot about Key and Peele, but Key and Peele's one of the most memorable things about Key and Peele's show was when they were out and it was zombies around and which zombies they chose to shoot. And basically, if, if there was a element of racism, they knew something was going on. Versus if there was not an element of racism, they knew what was going on when it comes to people that they were finding, claiming to be okay. So I mean, it was a very memorable thing. But now when you start talking about Dave Chappelle, the memorable, the man had a puppet pull his dick out. Just two different lanes, man. you know.
Dave created all that shit. You got to think because it wasn't just Key and Peele. They had Carlos Mencia. They gave Amy Schumer a show. They gave Anthony Jeselnik a show. They gave a few more people comedians shows. They started all that. They really wanted to recapture that energy and everything else. I think Key and Peele and probably Carlos Mencia was the two funniest shows they did, and everybody wants to forget Carlos Mencia because he got caught stealing jokes.
And you know what? Bill Burr was on that show, and I like a lot of Bill Burr as well. So, Dave is was I guess was kind of having that Richard Pryor effect where you got these great minds working on the same show. They was really putting something together there. I mean, no disrespect to Key and Peele and other sketch comedy shows, but to me, Chappelle's show was just on a whole different level than other comedy shows. It just was. And so was this last special, because this special was special.
But all of that harkens back to Dave knowing what he got is gold. That's a funny man. How much did they offer him before his ass went off to Africa and said, "Fuck it, I'm going to go live in a hut somewhere and
They
forget
offered him
about it."
50 million. They offered him
So
50 million to continue the Chappelle show.
he knew he was gonna get himself a check. He like, fuck this, I can't do this no more. He took his ass off, came back, and set out the limelight. And he started slowly touring and doing everything. And now they are offering him money hand over fist. This man knows he is bulletproof, regardless of what happens. At the end of the day, he could always do these comedy clubs, which he still loved doing, but he got a whole setup and he ain't got to leave his house for nothing. He got fuck you money.
And you know what? And just think about it in context. Dave Dave been all right for a long time because he was already in position to say no to a $50 million check. And I don't care what you're doing in life. When you start talking about $50 million, that's something to think about. Because if you're a professional athlete and you're talking about $50 million over X amount of years, you know what I'm saying, versus not getting 50, that's a game changer for you. That makes you jump squads. You was on this team, next thing you know, you're in a different city. If you you know what I'm saying, if you're a businessman and you got 50 million to work with to get some great thing done in your business. You know what I'm saying? If that 50 million came up short, you upset. You know what I'm saying? So $50 million is that's just a big amount of money, period. You know. So I know a lot of folks say, well, if you can get so rich, it wouldn't matter. But now I think if a billionaire, if he lost $50 million, he would kind of know why he lost that money. He's not gonna just let that go. It's $50 million we're talking about. So it's definitely a big deal. But I pretty much done said what I needed to say. You guys want to give out any last thoughts?
Nah,
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about this for a second. The backlash and
Oh
the
yeah.
narratives that they are continuing to try to put out there about Dave Chappelle. It's like you got some crazy ones out there. You got a guy that said that Dave Chappelle, except we might as well start accepting the fact that Dave Chappelle is a white supremacist, which that guy didn't know what he was talking about. And then there's also a conspiracy theory out there that's saying that white nationalists are using Dave Chappelle to spread their rhetoric because he was because they consider it special to be anti-feminist, anti-LGBT. He was talking about gun ownership. So you know how they say pro NRA, pro conservative. If you're talking about owning guns and stuff, and really he really did say something. He was like, whoever wins this next election, black people need to go out and purchase a firearm. So basically, he was telling black people to exercise their right because they have the right to do that as well.
What?
But
That's true.
yeah, but I mean, there's just been just this major backlash, and honestly, I think that this is a backlash that I think it's a lot of it, but nobody really is paying attention. Those people look like the SJWs that we all complain about. No, not really complain about. We could debunk and shut down these guys all day. This is that they go and cry, complain, burn through boxes of Kleenexes if they see something they don't like on the interwebs. When people like us just simply, if we see something we don't like, we'll just log off or go to the next thing that we actually do like. We don't sit up here on social media just looking for things to be mad at or trying to destroy careers. And I don't think that and Dave Chappelle for real with this special, he dared him to do it. come cancel me. Cancel me if you can. Come for me. Try to shut me down. Fuck you.
Well, when it comes to this backlash, I would have to say that, you know what I'm saying. If you don't like this special, it's probably something wrong with you, because this special, he wasn't anti anything really. Uh, he basically, the entire message of the special was basically live and let live. You know, and like even when you talk about you know, the way he crafted the joke, you know, the punchline was, if you want to if you want to have white folks basically start acting right when it comes to guns, all you gotta do is have every black person go out and get one. You know what I'm saying? And things have kind of changed a little bit. But I can't really say any of his messages was an anti anything, because he wasn't anti-gay, not according to anything I heard in there. You know, he wasn't. I can't say he was anti anything. Really, he basically was just talking about a society where we all can live in the same society, and you know, and we can have fun with each other, which I think is the right thing to do. Which is why I said in
Yeah,
the beginning that it was progressive. So
yeah, because it was like, sometimes you gotta laugh at yourself. Like he's saying, wouldn't it be a funny predicament if he was a Chinese man but still stuck in that body?
which was a hilarious concept, if you ask me. And my thing is like, I'm pretty sure at this point in time in your life, having a white person told you a funny joke about black people,
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
I
it's,
have,
it's,
and I
yeah,
laughed.
I've heard a couple. I've heard a couple.
Yeah, and I laughed. My thing is, if the joke funny, the joke funny. It's simple as that. You know, and I can't say anything Dave was doing was really distasteful, because there is a difference between being funny and then just straight out distasteful. And I didn't see him approach anything in a distasteful way, because even though
You know what?
oh, go ahead.
I'll give you an example. I will give you an example of distasteful. The Michael Richards rant. The N word rant. That was very distasteful. But that wasn't what Dave Chappelle was doing. So we can distinguish the difference between funny and distasteful.
Yeah, if for people who had a problem with this show, I don't think they need to be basically well, when it comes to what they recommend, I know, do basically, if I do the opposite, I'll probably get in the right direction. I'll just say that one, because it really didn't make no sense to have too much of a problem with this show. You know,
Mhm.
because it was all around funny beginning to end, and that's just real talk. You know,
Right. But that's pretty much. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much it for me. That's pretty much all I got to say. Uh, and my assessment of what I thought of the show. If I had two more hands, I'll make it four thumbs up.
well, you know what? I was thinking the same thing. Two thumbs up seems a little selfish.
Yeah, bit of an understatement.
Yeah, yeah. He definitely should have. He definitely deserved more than just two thumbs up, especially for this one. Because man, I don't even know how many times I'm gonna watch this. Because now, don't get me wrong, I've seen it once now. I hadn't really had the time to see it again, but I'm probably gonna watch it as I go to sleep tonight. You know, um, I
Yeah,
don't know.
and you know what though? I would say let's cancel something. Let's cancel this crybaby culture. This little SJW movement. Let's cancel them. See how they like it.
Well, my thing is, when they start messing up my entertainment, I get a real problem with them. You know what I mean? That the SJW people, if you ask me, they just people they are crybabies. Real talk. They just some crybabies, and to me, they come off as losers, because it's like they wake up trying to find something to complain about. Now, I don't mind a person complaining about something they really don't like because they just don't happen to like it. But they seem like the type of people who try to find something to have a problem with. So they come off as like stupid little kids to me. Like that's something stupid little kids do, if you ask me. You know. But when you become an adult, you ain't supposed to act like that. If I like it, I like it. If you like it, that's fine. Now, if I like it and you don't like it, that's still fine. And I even understand If I like it, but you don't like it, and we have a discussion about why we should or shouldn't like it. But once you had a discussion, you view the other person's side of you, and then you come back to your own conclusion. Now you may change your mind, or you may stay where you were. But at the end of the day, you still got to let people live. You know. So yeah, SJWs, they just annoying people if you ask me. Plain and simple. You know. But I don't want to keep this going too much longer, especially if we're gonna do another show, because we might be doing another show right after this one. So, uh, Donnie, you left for a minute. Any final words you want to get in there? Okay, Donnie must be having technical difficulties, and that's all right. That's all right. Cave, anything you want to say before we go?
Oh no, no. Just once again, what I would like to say is for people who watch this broadcast to please subscribe to our channels where we cover a wide range of things as far as pop culture and entertainment and sports. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we will definitely bring the noise when we bring it. So
All right, folks. This is Roger Stevens getting ready to sign out. And yes, definitely like the channel, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna push nothing but good content on this channel. So it is the place to be for all your entertainment needs. All right. This is Roger Stevens signing out.